Hey guys, what's going on? We got an Enhancement Shaman PvP guide here starting off. Basically, what I want to do is give kind of the rundown and on how enhancement builds and stuff like that are going to work, and what I've been having the most success with, and also try and get everybody set up to start the season. Once the season begins and we get a couple weeks in, I will do another one showcasing what has worked so far or whatever goes on. But anyways, let's get into this. So we're going to start off with stats. Obviously, we don't have much of an option. We can either choose haste or mastery. Um, Majority of the time, enhancement, you want to go as much haste as possible. Obviously, you're going to have versatility first, but your secondary stat, you should always aim for as much haste as possible. No matter what build you're playing, whether it's Elementalist or Stormbringer, haste just feels really good. You generate a whole lot of Maelstrom for Elementalist, giving you more time to cast, and for Storm, it allows you to Storm Strike even more and swing times. So yeah, so it's going to be haste, then mastery, then crit. So in this season, or so far, you can't hit any caps or anything like that, so go ahead and put everything as much as possible into haste. As for embellishments, I don't know yet. I have no idea if they're available for PvP or what they're going to be. So we'll find that out once the season begins, and I'll do another one for that. But yeah, for that so far, haste, then mastery, and versatility is obviously going to be on there because your PvP gear automatically comes with it. But anyways, on to the builds. So we have 4 different builds. Shocker. Um, the first one that I'm going to showcase is the one that I've been having the most success since the recent buffs to Lava Lash, Wind Fury, and Stormstrike. That is Totemic Storm. Basically, this is for massive Doom Winds windows. This is going to be a huge amount of damage during your Doom Winds. The only downfall is it's super easy to shut down. Doom Winds only last for 8 seconds, so any polymorph, any cyclone, any stun is basically going to shut down your entire window, which does suck, but it is a minute CD, so you can burst pretty well, pretty often. Sorry. So don't be afraid to do that. On top of that, you get some nice burst with Earth Surge. Make sure your totem is always down, and within 40 yards of you, when you do Sunder, I recently learned this Earth Surge procs around you, not the totem, so your totem doesn't have to be on the target. On top of that, spamming Storm Strike triggers this, increases the damage of your Surging Totem, and then does a bit of damage extra. So this is pretty good too. As for the Searing Totem, it's kind of meh because you're not quite lava lashing a whole lot. It's just kind of there. If you really want to, you can switch to Ice Strike and Swirling Maelstrom, but I prefer having Lava Lash just for that extra little chance to proc the Searing Totem. It does do a little bit of damage, so why not? Anyways, yeah. So I'm going to recommend that you do baseline, you want to run Rooted Elements. The reason why is because majority of the time you're going to have some solid uptime on people, and it's just going to be better overall. Now, when do you run regular Ascendants? And this is going to go for all the builds that have rooted elements. That is going to be for whether you're fighting a range like a Frost Mage, something that can kite you really easily, and you just want to guarantee that damage window. Or if you're running a heavy burst comp, such as Enhancement Frost DK or Enhancement Unholy DK, or maybe even Enhancement Rogue, you want to probably run on Use Ascendant, so that way you get this massive window of damage. But yeah, it's still like either one's good. If you're fighting double melee, obviously I recommend going deeply rooted elements because you're going to get more uptime over the whole course of the arena. So just to showcase this build's quick little first window, obviously make sure your imbuements are on. I've done the fight. I've done arenas without them, and it's really annoying. Make sure your buff is on. This will give you even more chances to proc Wind Fury. Basically, you're going to walk up, you're going to drop your totem, you're going to drop wolves, then you're going to Doom Winds, Storm Strike, Crash Lightning if you see targets, and then basically all you want to do is aim to smash as much Storm Strike as possible. That's all you want to do during this window. because that's where all your damage is going to come from, and it's going to trigger Wind Furies. Now, since this is kind of PvE-ish, I guess maybe it does. These are PvP target dummies, so Wind Fury is going to do a significant amount of damage. And same with Surging Totem if it's going to be on your target, and Storm Strike will also do a lot of damage. So that these are your primary 3 damage dealers. Lightning Bolt is just there to reset your Storm Strike if you need it, but it is still very, very useful. Storm Blast and Tempest also coordinate with Storm Strike, so that's where a whole lot of damage is coming from. But yeah, so that is what you're aiming for. You want to Crash Lightning. If you're fighting a pet class, you're going to want to proc your Converging Storm, which is going to be, it's only 10%, but it stacks 6 times, so it's going to be a 60% damage increase to your next Storm Strike, so it does get pretty nasty. But yeah, that's basically it for this build. Again, it's just make sure Surging Totem is up, Feral Spirits on cooldown, Doom Winds, and Storm Strike spam. If you don't have Storm Strike up, use Crash, use Sunder, use Lava Lash, use Lightning Bolt, whatever you can to get it to reset. And then also, PvP talents for this are going to be Shamanism or Ride the Lightning. If you're fighting double melee, just switch Grounding to Ride the Lightning. If you feel like your targets aren't going to be fighting or aren't going to kill your totems, go for Counter Strike, especially if they're melee. But yeah, also these will depend on your team comp, because sometimes you'll want to go with Totem of Wrath and then you'll want to go with a different build. But yeah, for the majority, you're going to be running Shamanism, Ride the Lightning, and then Stormweaver is kind of baseline, I find. I can't really live without it. It does so much healing and it's easy to use, so I always run with it. But yeah, Ride the Lightning if you're fighting melee, Grounding Totem if you're fighting casters. And now let's switch on to the Totemic Elementalist build. I think it's this one. Yes. So this one is more geared to lava lashing, as you can see. So your priority is going to be casting damage dealers or your spenders. So basically, you go like your typical. So if you play Dragonflight, you kind of understand what this build is looking like. It's basically the same iteration. You're aiming to do as much damage with your spenders rather than anything else. So you're going to be same thing, drop your totem. This time you're going to Feral Spirits, and then you're going to Primordial Wave. You're going to Lava Lash into a Lightning Bolt, and then you want to Ice Strike, Frost Shock, build, generate to 10, and then you want to Ellie Blast, Sunder, and that gives you a pretty solid burst window. This build is very good against ranged targets. The reason for that is because your spenders, you're going to be generating a lot of Maelstrom, and that allows you to attack from so many yards away, right? And it definitely makes a huge difference against like casters and stuff like that, because you can't, if you can't connect, you're basically just casting Lightning Bolt, or you're just going to wait for Feral Spirits and Primordial Wave and attack from a range. And now for PvP talents with this, you can run Shamanism, but generally, if you're going to have Grounding Totem, let's say, because Grounding Totem is more or less baseline, you want to switch Shamanism out for Totem of Wrath. The reason why is because it's going to buff your cast spells by 15% if they critically strike. It's very, very useful, and it just procs off a Primordial Wave. It also brings in a Totem into the game and really has people looking for it to kill it, which causes them to untarget you, right? But if you're fighting double melee, Totem of Wrath, still the same, and then you want to run Shamanism. Very helpful. Again, same thing, Counter Strike if you feel like the enemy's not really going to do anything. And if you find you can't really catch the targets, Static Field. But with the nerf to Static Field, I haven't quite really wanted to run it lately, so I've just been more or less focused on the damage rather than the utility. I seem to have a lot of ways to catch people with both Root and Windrush Totem, but we'll get into the utility later on with the team comps and stuff like that. But yeah, essentially for this, you're going to Feral Spirits, and then you're going to Primordial Wave. You might notice if you played this in Dragonflight, it's backwards. That's because our tier set is different. Before, Feral Spirits would pull the cooldown off of Primordial Wave. So now that it's back to not doing that, it's Feral Spirits and then Primordial Wave, so that way you get the 20 seconds off of Feral Spirits. But yeah, so drop your totem, Feral Spirits, Primordial Wave, Lava Lash to trigger Lashing Flames and spread any Flame Shocks. Drop a Lightning Bolt or even a Elemental Blast if you want to. Either one works. Generate, do either one of those, whichever one you didn't do last time. And then you want to Ice Strike, Frost Shock, Sunder to trigger your Earth Surge. But yeah, it's a bit more complicated, but after you play it for a while, you'll start to understand it a bit better. But this one, I don't know. I haven't tried this one yet with the new buffs. But again, you know, it's more of a ranged style DPS, so it'll be more helpful against casters in a sense. But on to our Stormbringer side, we have Double Storm. This one did receive, I like, it's still good. There was some changes to it. I mean, we got an overall 4% nerf, but it got some better cleave effects and doing damage. But yeah, basically this plays the exact same as as Totemic Storm, except you have Primordial Wave to trigger your Lightning Rod. And now this build is all about Lightning Bolt damage, not about Storm Strike or anything like that. All you're doing is generating so you can Lightning Bolt as much as possible. Again, you're going to Primordial Wave, you're going to Feral Spirits, you're going to Doom Winds, Crash to trigger the effect, and then you want a Lightning Bolt and stuff like that. So basically all this is about is generating as much Maelstrom as possible and doing as much damage with Lightning Bolt. That's all it really is. During Ascendance is going to be your massive part. If you do proc a Tempest, try to pull up 10 stacks of Maelstrom, because that's where a huge amount of damage comes out. So again, you just want to smash Storm Strike in this build, generate to 10. I have Tempest ready. I really want 10. 9, 10, boom. Big hit. I proc Tempest again, boom, big hit. Tempest does a lot of damage, and that's where all this damage is coming from. So unlike the Totemic build, where your Wind Fury and Storm Strike are doing a majority of your damage, this is all about Lightning Bolt doing damage. Very, very good damage too, and it is far. So you can just see it's just doing so much damage. And this is very good for ranged effects too, because when you Lightning Bolt, you have a chance to get your Maelstrom back, obviously, especially if you're hitting one target. You're just going to be generating Maelstrom off of Maelstrom off of Maelstrom. It gets kind of crazy. But yeah, as you can see, same play style. So again, Primordial Wave, Feral Spirits, Doom Winds, Crash to, if you have 2 targets available, because you do kind of want that extra damage from on your next Storm Strike. And it'll also trigger a bit of Wind Fury and generate some forceful winds, and then you just Storm Strike and do a whole lot of damage. But yeah, again, this one is all about your spenders rather than your Wind Fury and Storm Striking. It's all about Lightning Bolt and Tempest. That's all it is, and that's all you want to do. That's where all your damage is coming from. Now on to Stormbringer Elementalist. This one's a totally different build. We gotta wait for Doom Winds. This one uses Ascendance. So this one is a bit weird. I've played it a lot in PvE and it doesn't feel too bad. It definitely feels weird. So in the same manner, you want to use Ascendance on use all the time in this build, and you'll understand in a second. So first things first, you want a Primordial Wave. Again, Feral Spirits, pop Ascendance. Make sure you have Lightning Bolt queued up. And then that's all you want to do during your Ascendance windows. Again, Tempest if you have max stacks. And if your Wind Strike is not coming off a cooldown, just go ahead and cast Lightning Bolt and it should pull it off a cooldown. Or maybe not, I don't remember. But yeah, outside of Ascendance, your priority is going to be to Lava Lash as much as possible. On top of that, still prioritizing casting your Maelstrom spender, right? Your Lightning Bolt. Sorry, attacking and talking is difficult for me. But yeah, so it's got the same manner of things. You have Hailstorm to do a little bit of extra damage. Always use Feral Spirits on cooldown. If you have nothing cast, Ice Strike, Hailstorm, do some damage. It does quite a lot of damage. You'd be surprised. And it doesn't feel too bad, especially during your Ascendance windows against ranged targets. Again, very helpful. But yeah, as you can see, you just all your damage is from your spenders, and that is it. So, again, the most success I've had so far, and I've only done skirmishes this week, and it's been a lot of fun and doing quite a lot of damage, has been the Totemic Storm. And it's really been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. There are some downfalls. I can't switch because of Ascendance with our mobility and stuff, but we can fix that with team comps. So yeah, all these builds will be in the comments, so you can pick whichever one you want. But yeah, the most I've had success with is Totemic Storm. So check that out and try out all the builds for yourself, depending on which one you like. The margin of damage difference I find is very minimal, so it's really just a playstyle that you want to check out. But anyways, on to team comps. So what kind of team comps are we looking at for Enhancement Shaman? I think a lot of people don't quite go over these. So the primary one is going to be a warrior DPS. So actually, let's go over healers first. Healers, we want to aim anything with a lot of externals for us. So a paladin or holy paladin, and then a I feel like disc priest. If disc priest is good this season, I don't remember. I feel like disc priest could be pretty good. And oh, what's the other one? I'm missing one here. My brain's not clicking here. Disc priest also gives you PI, which is a huge buff. I kind of like that. And then any high output, so resto druid, and I think Prez evoker. I think these are going to be your top ones. This is almost all of them. Yeah. If Mistweaver Monk is playing Caster Monk, or if Fist Weaving is available, Fist Weaver will also be good. One, it gives you that 5% damage buff, and it also they do a lot of output from what I remember. But DPS comps, we want to. So the top one is going to be Warrior, whether it's Arms or Fury. It's going to be whichever one is stronger. It doesn't really matter which one it is. Typically, you just go with whatever's stronger. Another one would be Death Knight, whether it's Frost or Unholy, both are good. The reason why both are good, Frost is a niche one. So if you've ever heard of the comp Draco Cleave, where it's Frost DK and a Dev Evoker, both are pretty good. They do a lot of 1 minute burst windows, and that's essentially what you're going for in that combination, right? You're going for that 1 minute burst window where you pull everybody together, you do a massive stun, and you just blow something up. And that's essentially what it is. Same with Unholy. They also have a lot of control where they grab people in, and they can help you out with your mobility because they bring targets to you and slow them and all that. So very helpful. Another one would be Monk Windwalker, alternate form. Alternate Turbo. Basically, it's going to play the same way as Turbo Cleave, but the Monk doesn't have as much to help you out with. It's more about raw damage. So you have to make sure you stick. You cannot back off. Just like Turbo, you have to keep going forward. Don't turn off your W key and try and engage as much as possible. But yeah, this is all about burst window. It's crazy. Monks have a massive burst window right now, so that's going to be very, very helpful. Another one would be Rogue Assassination. Assassination, if you didn't know, in Season 3 and Season 4, this was a popular comp, Enhancement Assassination Rogue, because Assassin was so strong. It brings the Mortal Cleave, or Mortal Strike, sorry, and it also brings a high amount of AoE damage and some good crowd control. Very, very helpful. I think it's going to be quite as strong, especially with the way Assassination is right now. Very, very good. Another one would be Evoker. Typically, you want to go AUG. Dev, if it's good. Typically, you go with AUG because they buff you and they give you a lot of defensive quality. On top of that, I feel like right now they're doing quite a significant amount of damage on their own. So Dev can be good. It doesn't have as much defense to help you out, but if they're strong, they have a huge amount of damage. And that is what you're looking for. And you can line up their deep breath with your static field totem and pull them into it. But now that you can turn it as well, it makes it even better to aim. So yeah, so Evoker AUG preferred, Dev Evoker only if it's like really good. Another one that'll work are Warlocks. Warlock with Demo. Now, Demonology brings the cleave, but it doesn't, it really depends on if it's strong or not. If demonology is not strong, it's not really going to do a lot, but it will be still helpful and it's still a good comp in general because they're going to be the prioritized target. And if you're targeted, they get the free cast and do a whole lot of damage. So they also bring a solid amount of CC and give you a bit of utility to get around too. But yeah, those are it for comps. PvP talents. You want your totem of wrath. So you want to make sure you have Totem of Wrath with your Warlock, just to give him a bit of extra buff. All of these you would still run your whatchamacallit there, your Bloodlust. DK scales extremely well with haste. Same with Assassination Rogue and Warrior. And then AUG Evoker, you would just have it doesn't really matter because you're more focused on themselves. So I don't know how they scale with it, but yeah, you don't really aim for anything else. But yeah, that's basically it. Any of these healers work really well. Holy Paladin is probably the best bet because they have so many externals for you. And then I feel like Druid, if it has that high, whichever one of these healers has the most throughput is going to be the second best. I feel like right now, I think all of them are saying Presevoker has the best amount of throughput. So I feel like Presevoker would probably be the second best healer for any of these comps. But yeah, Holy Paladin is typically your primary choice. They give you freedom, which is huge, and they give you sacrifice, bops, and stuff like that. So that's why it's so useful. But yeah, guys, that is it for this enhancement guide. I hope I got everything for everyone. I know I didn't go over the left side. It's not quite as important, but I do know some things are useful, like Cap Totem you can take off if you don't want to use that. But yeah, generally I run this setup. Not much else to it. But anyways, guys, I hope this helps you with the start of the season. I wish you the best of luck on your beginning season and hope you push or do maximum amount of damage because it's always fun. But anyways, yeah, that is it for this guide. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or check me out on Twitch or live on YouTube, Sorgle97, whichever one of those you want to check out. Both are fine. Come ask me any questions you want and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But anyways, yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hope this helps and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Laters!